Thanks for sending me a video. I want to say that overall you have done a nice job learning discus technique. So there are a handful of things that you do very well and are going to set you up for a lot farther throws. And so hats off to you and your effort in learning discus. You're doing great. So like overall your technique is sound. You know, being a year into it, you're doing those main things right, like turning your foot out of the back and in your general position. So that's very good. I guess if I'm going to say a couple things that are specifically good, it is your left foot turn at the back of the circle. So let's slow it down here for a second and look at it. So when I'm looking at a left foot or the left side in the back of the ring, I am mostly concerned about your hip and left foot and knee. So those are the things that I pay attention to, and typically if those things are done well, then you get out of the back of the ring well. And so yes, there is components where you know, what the left arm is doing is important. But right now I just want to say or focus on what you're doing good out of the back with your left foot, just to kind of affirm you. So what we want to do is after we wind up, the first thing we want to happen is the left foot to turn. So let's see, you wind up, left foot's turning, that's good. And then once it starts turning, it needs to turn continuously until it comes off the ground. And you do that exceptionally well. A lot of people don't. It's kind of a sticking point. And because you do that well, there's no hesitation in the back. And if you look here, your left knee is bent like that. That's perfect. You want that to come off the ground bent, and you're doing that. So hats off to you. Good job. Left foot's good. The second thing you do really well, and it's related to this. So like this here for you is a very strong position. If you look here, there's your hip, and then your torso's here. So I'm going to say that your left hip coming off of the ground here is strong. And it's strong. The two indicators are, one, your knee is bent. So that tells me your hip is strong. The second indicator that tells me your hip is strong is you have width between your knees, like right here. So if we just kind of pay attention to that, as you come off, like look here, you still have that wide knees. That means your hip is strong. And that left hip coming off the back strong is vital. So again, that's what you're doing well. Very good. After you come off your left foot, or this process of the left foot coming off and your right foot coming down, is where you start to run into some issues. As much as I'm saying that your left side, your foot here is good, your knee is good, your hip is good, now all as good as those are, what you do lack is, as the left foot comes off, it comes off the ring a little bit slow and then lands a little bit slow. So if you just pay attention, we want what the left foot does, so it comes off the ring and then it lands. And that movement needs to be fast and violent while your body moves down into the ring. One of the reasons that your left is slow to come down, so once it comes off the circle, one reason your left is slow to come down is because you hop a little bit off of your left into the ring. So if you look here, your body's moving up this way a little bit. So when the left foot is late to come down, then that leaves the upper body to be open compared to the hips. So what we want to do is have this kind of position as that left foot lands. And when you have that position, it's something you probably already know. It's just harder to do than it is to say. And this is more about like where your right shoulder is compared to your right hip. That right shoulder needs to be way back there, way back there. You have to think about, like here, pulling that left foot off the ground. And you got to be thinking thinking head down into the ring rather than kind of up and then back down. You want to go down in the circle. That increases speed. What's important is the speed of your left leg, and the faster that left leg lands, the easier it is to catch your left arm back this way, and that saves the tension between your hips and your shoulders, and then you blast a big throw. Let's keep it super simple. I feel like there's two things that will help you throw farther. The one is get the left foot off the ground sooner, and then the next thing is look where your discus is here. So if you look here, your right leg is moving around, and your right arm, so right here, is right in line with your right leg. So your right arm is following your right leg. And what I'm going to tell you is you need to be running away from your right arm. So what I like is this position here. So this arm is behind you. And so what you want to do is as you're moving into the circle, that arm needs to stay behind you. You need to think of your shoulder and arm as being low and down. This may seem odd to you, but like that hip here, as that right hip comes out and around, that discus needs to be behind your hip. It needs to be behind your hip, and then as the right foot lands, so if you look here, that discus needs to be up and back. Up and back. What that's going to do is create the separation that you need. So really what you miss here is although your lower body is really solid and your hips are strong and your feet are moving pretty good, you are losing the tension between your shoulders and your hips. The discus gets ahead of you and then really just kind of stays with you, and you're not left with a very strong power position. You don't have a lot of torque in between your shoulders and hips. I think if you've thrown 110 currently, you have a lot more in the tank with your current physical shape once you find some of this tension. So really the most practical thing you can do is you need to think about when you come out of the back of the ring, the left foot needs to pop off the circle as fast as it can. You need to be aware of it, get it off there, and then as you're moving forward into the circle, so like right here, you know, you're heading into the ring. Right here, you need to pay attention, keep that left arm in front of you, you need that right arm behind you. You need to drag the discus. You need to drag the discus, let it go high and low, let it follow its orbit, because that's very important. And that's going to give you some tension, and you're going to get a lot farther throws. So number one is get the left foot off the ground faster. Number two is you got to keep that discus behind you, create tension between your shoulders and hips. That's going to do it for you. That's going to do a lot for you. But hey, you're doing a really good job. You are learning the skills very well. You do a lot of things right. Just work on those two things, and you're going to throw a lot farther. So great job, Erica.